Welcome to Let's Talk Vicksburg. My name is Kennedy Washington, and today I have Mr. Keith Phillips.
How are you?
I'm good. Okay, I understand you graduated from Vicksburg High School. Can you start off by telling us about your experience here?
Vicksburg High School, I graduated in 2011. I played football here and I was on the powerlifting team. I played under Alonzo Stevens, who's on the board now. But I had fun in high school. It was okay, I was very quiet though. But I didn't say much to people. I just hung out with mostly the football team. But it was a great experience. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was pretty fun. I was a very laid-back student though. I didn't do too much. Went to class, didn't get in much trouble at all. But it was overall a good experience.
My first question is, what was your inspiration behind majoring in history?
My inspiration, because I wanted to be, in 11th grade, Miss Jenny Drake, she's retired now, she was my English teacher. She asked us what we wanted to be in life, and my response was I wanted to be Vicksburg High School's head football coach, and I wanted to be a history teacher. So that's what made me do history in college.
What was your journey after high school like?
Okay, so after high school, I went over to Hines Community College over in Utica for a little while. Then I transferred to Raymond for a little while, but college was a hard struggle for me, even high school too. I didn't make the best of grades, but at one point in time I was at Hines and my grades was not doing good, and they told me you're gonna have to start paying your whole full tour. They weren't gonna help me out at all. So I got on the ball from there. I got a job and I paid for my schooling, and then my grades went from terrible to okay, and I eventually made the dean's list at Hines. And then I eventually got into USM for the 2014 year.
What sparked your interest in journalism?
I had no interest in journalism. I have no interest at all in journalism. So it all started, well, back in October, I celebrated 5 years in journalism. So back in 2019, I was coaching my YMCA football team. And Nash Morgan, who's Warren Central's quarterback right now, he was on my football team, and his mom had, I think she just beat breast cancer, or either she was going through it, but we were honoring her at halftime, and I inboxed the Vicksburg Daily News about it. And that was October the 8th, 2019. And after we honored her, me and David Day got to talking, and 3 days later, I wrote my first story for the Vicksburg Daily News. It was Vicksburg versus Cleveland Central football game.
We see you at like a lot of sports events. So when you're covering the different events, how do you remain unbiased?
Well, I'm always for the home team, so I'm always kind of one-sided on Vicksburg, Warren Central, Porter Chapel, St. Al. So, but I try my best to include everyone. Like if it's a basketball game, even if they score 1 point, I want to mention that kid scored that 1 point.
Can you tell us about your experience working with Vicksburg Daily News so far?
Okay, yeah, so I started off just covering sports. I started off as a part-time worker. So I basically just worked at nights and covered all the games and things like that. But about a year and a half into the job, they asked me to come on full-time. And when I came on full-time, I began to cover basically everything. Special events, sports, crime, anything that basically can happen in the city that they called me on. Anything city related. I did a lot of government stuff. I'm always in the courtroom and things like that. So it's been a challenging experience, but it's been real fun, I would say.
What are some of the hardest cases you had to cover?
Some of the hardest cases I had to cover. I would say the most recent one would probably be the murder of Corey Sims, the basketball player from St. Al. I covered him for the last 5 years since he was in junior high. So when I found out he was the victim of a murder, that was one of my toughest ones to announce that he was the kid who was killed in that one. And some of the other ones would probably be crimes against children and things like that some people do. I had a hard one last year, a car wreck where my cousin was killed, and I had to be the one that announced that he was the one that died.
When you first started at Vicksburg Daily News, How did you manage covering all the different schools?
Communication was the was the big thing. So I can only be at basically one game per night or something like that. So I may be at a Vicksburg game, so I will rely on Warren Central to send me stats or call me after their game and give me a brief information about it. So, and I do that for all four schools, and then even the junior high. So that's like 8 overall teams that I may have to cover in one night. It's a hard struggle to do, but I managed to do it been managing to do it for 5 years now. But it's basically communication. That's the key thing to it.
What are the latest projects that you're working on?
So I recently just finished my first documentary, and it was a crime documentary actually. It's called The Echoes of Evil, the Raphael McLeod story. So it was basically about a man who killed a lady here in Vicksburg about 10 years ago, and he broke out of jail. And I went into some deep details of what happened and about the crime and how he broke out and how he stayed out and some of the other crimes he committed. It was a little controversy behind it, but we aired it over at the Strand Theater, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. They gave me a standing ovation at the end, and I think it turned out very well.
What's it like working with David Day?
Who's David Day? He ain't nobody. I mean, it's been fun. It's been 5 years, so it's a fun experience. I mean, he's taught me a lot on how to get to a crime scene, and like he goes to scenes a lot. He's goes to them more than I do, but it's been real fun. He showed me the ins and outs of journalism, taught me how to write a lot, and overall experience it's been pretty fun. I'm I guess one of the longest people who stay working there, so we have a pretty good relationship. But it's fun to see him out on the scenes and see how he connects with people and things like that. You know.
What is your experience like working with the community?
I think I have a love-hate relationship with the community. It's always fun, but they call me when they want things. They inbox me and things like that, and let me know what's going on in the world. Let me know when I spelled somebody's name wrong. Let me know. They just, it's been an overall good experience. I mean, and I always have to stay close to, I would say, coaches, communication with coaches and things like that. And I probably argue with every coach in the school district and other schools, but it always turns out for the best because it's all about the kids and the athletes and the people that we try to put in the spotlight, and I try to make everybody seen, I would say.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I would say being fair. I try to remain fair to all 4 schools, every player, every athlete, every coach. Even though I butt heads with a lot of coaches and a lot of players sometimes, I would try to remain fair at all times.
All right. That was Keith Phillips. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Vicksburg, and we'll see you next time.